Hey everyone, this is JK. So in today's session, we will discuss about how we can restrict public access on storage accounts. So by default, as you know, whenever we create an Azure storage account, it is publicly enabled by default. Okay, we are not going and enabling it, but by default, it is automatically enabled and exposed to public networks. So what exactly I mean is if we forgo to change the network settings when we create the storage account, it will be created. The storage account by default will be created with the publicly accessible and it will be exposed to outside world. So in this video, we can see how we can enforce security. Okay, we can enforce security using Azure Policy. Okay, we can utilize Azure Policy so that nobody can create storage account in your organization with the public access enabled. Okay, so if some engineer maybe just forgot to select a particular network when they create the storage account, it will not allow them to create the storage account. Okay, so basically nobody can create storage account with public access enabled. So before that, let me just show you the default behavior of a storage account. Okay, so if you try to create a storage account, I'm just came to storage center and just trying to create the storage account. Okay, and I just selected the subscription and placing inside a resource group and giving a random storage account name, because as you know, storage account name should be unique. That's why I'm just giving some random numbers. Okay, putting inside a region, that is fine, and we just select some kind of storage type. Okay, redundancy LRS, next. And if you notice here, okay, so in the networking session, if you notice, the first point you need to understand is in the networking session, if you notice here, I mean, if you're already having experience on the virtual network and the network related scenarios in Azure, you may notice a storage account is not sitting inside a virtual network. Okay, that is a very important point. Okay, virtual network is not required when you create a storage account. We can utilize virtual network when we use private endpoint. That is a different case. We can take that session in a later video. Okay, so you just need to understand the storage account by default is not sitting inside a virtual network, and it is having couple of options only. One is public network access. By default, as I mentioned initially, it will be enabled. Okay, and there is some other option like the network security. I mean, sorry, you can select from a particular network and IP address. That option is available here. Okay, but as I mentioned, by default, the storage account will be publicly enabled. And let's create the storage account. Okay, so you will be understand the difference after we applying the Azure policy. Okay, so if I click next, nobody is blocking you. Okay, you can just create the storage account. This is the default behavior. I'm just showing you the default behavior of a storage account when you create. Okay, the validation is happening. Let me just click on create. So we will wait for a few seconds and I will come back. Okay, so the storage account got created. So if you look into the storage account, and you can see the security plus networking section here, where you will be seeing the networking option. And if you see here, while creating the storage account, you can see the public network access enabled from all networks. Okay, so this is a point actually. Okay, so most of the organization not prefer, okay, they are not prefer to keep their resources either Azure or whatever cloud they use. They not prefer to keep the resources public, okay, publicly exposed. Okay, so we always need to look into some uh, we can say we always need to look into some security mechanism to restrict the public access from the outside world. Okay, so if you'll come into the networking for this particular storage account, you can see there are a couple of options. One is private endpoint. We can discuss this later because there are a lot of areas we need to understand before creating a private endpoint. Okay, so we will look into some other option. Okay, so you can see here, if you click on enable from all network, you can see you can just disable here. That is one option, but it will be entirely disabled. Or you can give enable from selected networks option. Okay, so if you click on selected network, you can give the virtual network detail here. If you have any virtual network, you can give that particular virtual network details here and click on save. At that time it will be kind of restricted. Okay, it is kind of restricted the access from that particular virtual network to this storage account. So we are at least giving some kind of security to this particular storage account. Okay, so now let's come to the main point. So we need to create some policy. Okay, so I hope you guys are already aware about what is policy. So we have something called policy in Azure, where we can create a lot of security restrictions, or if you want to give some tagging policy. For example, like if your resource does not have any tagging and you just need to make sure everybody should create tagging for the resources, you can utilize policy. There are a lot of things we can achieve through policy. Okay, so I am trying to utilize policy for this particular situation as well. So we will be creating a policy to restrict the creation of storage account with the public access. Okay, so for that, what I'm doing, I'm just creating a policy. Okay, so for that, I'm just coming to the authoring and click on definitions. Okay, there is already by default a lot of default definitions available, which is already provided by Azure to you. Okay, you can utilize that for a lot of purposes. For example, if you just look into the one what I mentioned with the disaster recovery configured. So this is a policy by default coming. So you can just audit whatever whatever virtual machines having disaster recovery configured, you can look into that. Okay, so like that auditing also possible through this policy. Okay, now we will create a fresh policy. Okay, so for that I'm just came to definitions and clicking a policy definition first of all. Okay, and you need to give a location for that. So I will be putting that inside this particular subscription for now. Okay, if you have a lot of subscriptions, I always recommend to create in the tenant root group so that you can keep the same policy and create the assignment. I will show you we can create assignment later. We are just creating the definition. Now definition doesn't, this is the real code we are placing. Okay, so I'm just placing the subscription, select and give a proper name or maybe a meaningful name for this particular definition. Okay, I will give as restrict public access to storage. Okay, just for understanding purpose. Okay, you can just give some description if it is required, otherwise leave it as it is. So when you just create the definition by default some JSON. Basically this policy is all created with the JSON code. Okay, so I'm just deleting the default one and I'm just placing the code which I created. Okay, uh, okay, so this is the policy which I pasted. Okay, so you can look into this policy or maybe let me know if you want to get the exact policy. I can just put that in the chat or comments. Okay, so I'm just saving this policy. So basically this policy, the purpose or maybe the logic of this policy is when someone try to create a storage account with public access enabled, it will stop that storage account creation. Okay, either they need to select from a particular virtual network or they need to select from the or they need to select the private endpoint. Either security option they need to select for the storage account. Okay, so looks like this policy is created. Okay, you can just see the notification here, policy definition is created. Okay, now we need to go back to the policy again. We just created the definition only. Okay, we need to also create the assignment is the main thing which we are assigning. Okay, so I will just assign this policy. Okay, and select the scope again. We will be selecting the scope as the entire subscription. Okay, and select the subscription. If you want to give some exclusion for a particular storage account or a particular resource group, you can give that exclusion here. Okay, this is all related to policy. Okay, so policy you can give exclusion or maybe you can give particular entire resource group exclusion, etc. You can provide here. Okay, we are not giving an exclusion for now. And the policy definition you can select from here. Okay, this is the place where you are selecting the exact definition what we created just now. Okay, let me just select it. One second, it's the custom because we created a custom one, right? So we can just select that. Yeah, this is the one we created. Click on add, and yeah, policy enforcement enabled. If it is not enabled, it will not work. Okay, so you always need to enable it if you want to try this policy or if it is just disabled means it will not work. That's it. Okay, click on next. Parameters, I'm just not selecting anything. Next, manage identity, for now it is not required. Click on next and click on create. Okay, so the policy got assigned successfully. So it will take some time to get replicated or get reflected on the backend. Okay, so let's try. Maybe we can just try now. Okay, so I'm just going to the storage account now, and if I try to create a storage account and give some random name. Okay, I'm just giving some random name for the storage account, and this preferred storage account type and all is fine. LRS is fine. Next, next. Okay, and if I just click on enable and if I try to create, let's see if it is working or not. Okay, validation is in progress. If the policy works fine now, it will be showing the policy got affected and it is blocking you to create a storage account with the public access enabled. Okay, so yeah, this is working fine now. So see here, validation failed, view error details. If you click on that, it will clearly show the policy. The Azure policy is restricting the storage account creation. What is the reason? Because it is publicly enabled. Okay, so you can either click on disable, it will work. Okay, if you click on review and create, it will show successful, and it will validation will be always pass here. Okay, it will be pass, and it will allow us to create the storage account. Okay, yeah, you can see the validation got succeeded, and you can, if you just create this, definitely the storage account will get created. Okay, but if you look back to the networking section, if you just click on enable, and you can either select this option as well. If you already have a virtual network and if you want to give exception for the resources sitting inside a particular virtual network, you can give this option as well. Okay, this also will work. Okay, the policy which I created, you can always give custom policy. Okay, you can create your own custom policy as per your logic and as per your convenience. But I always prefer, instead of completely disable the storage account, you can either select this particular option so that it will allow. Okay, so if you click a virtual network and if you click next and try to create, it will allow you to create the storage account. Okay, so I hope this particular video is helpful for you, because I know the organization always want to make resources secure and make sure that the resources are not exposed to the public network. So this particular video will help you to initiate that particular implementation in your organization for the storage account. Okay, thank you. We will be seeing with some other topic in next video. Thank you.